years from now, we will tell our children of this day. The day his vision became our reality!
Killzone 2 was easily one of the most beautiful looking games on the PS3 in 2009. The problems came in the form of a clunky and slow control scheme, and some uninteresting storyline elements. Killzone 3 looks to make up for these issues. The story starts just after the end of Killzone 2, and you're thrown back into the world with a hellgas head first. Things have changed for Sev and his squad, but have they changed for the better? Now I know what question you want to ask if you played the first game. Have the controls improved at all? The answer is a simple and emphatic yes. Gone are the clunky and slow controls of the first game, and welcome the smooth and graceful aiming mechanics. This also goes for how players control Sev when he's moving about the areas. Snapping into cover is much quicker, and sprinting has been given a complete turbo boost. The visuals are really impressive some of the time. In cutscenes or in levels with tight corridors, the game seems to stand out the most, though it seems to be held back by blocky textures on most walls or objects. The game even utilizes fog in the distance to reveal terrain in the more open-ended missions. It's still a very impressive looking title, but the cut corners to keep the engine running smoothly are starting to show. Multiplayer can be a good amount of fun, but the balance and performance can be aggravating. There are multiple modes that players can participate in Killzone 3. Guerrilla Warfare is your standard fair deathmatch, while Warzone is a battle that randomly generates missions on the fly. The final mode is Operations, which uses cutscenes to award the most active players on the battlefield. All of these modes are actually interesting, but the gameplay just doesn't feel polished. I spent most of my time playing as a medic. When people are gunned down, you have about 5 seconds to get them back up. What this added up to was me wasting time to run over to someone who already opted to respawn. Or, I would revive someone and the game will freeze me in place as the animation finishes, which will more than likely get you and the guy you tried to revive shot to death. The performance can also be a hassle in multiplayer. A lot of the time the game would just outright disconnect me, or leave me waiting on a connection screen for what seems like forever. That brings up the main issue with the multiplayer. It takes about a minute to even load into one. That's not mentioning that the Infiltrator and Tactician classes seem a little too powerful compared to the rest. The single player can be described in one word: boring. Unlike the Metal Gear Solid series, the mass amount of cutscenes don't work in the favor of Killzone 3. Most of the time you'll be able to kill 5 to 15 enemies before you're thrown into a cutscene. This happens throughout the entire game, and it really messes with the pacing of what's supposed to be a first-person shooter. The dialogue comes off as stiff and sometimes laughable. There is a particular scene where the Hellgas chain of command is arguing, and I swear I had a full belly laugh during it. The whole conversation didn't come off as serious at all. Instead, it seemed comedic and cartoony.
The ISA tank group on the left. I mean, are you ignoring it on purpose, or is this part of some strategy beyond our understanding? Is it?
Which is really sad since you have to watch these kinds of cutscenes all of the time, especially due to the audio sync being 1 second off during most conversations.
All due respect, I'd like to suggest—
I made it very clear that I don't want to hear a single word out of your mouth.
Killzone 3 comes off as a mixed bag of jelly beans. Digging in the bag will net you some really delicious flavors, but you also realize that you're going to encounter some really gross ones. If you can avoid the single player and not be upset that the co-op campaign is local only, you might find the multiplayer a healthy diversion from Call of Duty or Battlefield. So with that said, Killzone 3 receives a C- from Half-Ass Gamer. I can't recommend an immediate buy, but with time it can be a strong candidate due to the sci-fi nature of the multiplayer.